The rush hour commute now, just the start of the rush hour commute in a very congested area of the city. There you can see under an overpass there, and driving on the wrong side of the road. And there he goes again. All the cars stopped and driving on the wrong side. There was a pedestrian there too, running out of the crosswalk as he makes a left there.
Oh, this is dangerous. He is on the wrong side of the road, flying by these cars. This car is headed, is he still headed westbound at this time? He just turned, so he's headed south now.
Really interesting here. The Hollenbeck Division now on this, LAPD Hollenbeck Division pursuing this, and they're going into a tracking mode. What they're concerned about at this point is the vehicle is going at a very high rate of speed. So if they start, whoa, look at that, right between two cars. But they're doing this at this is very, very dangerous. A tracking mode. They're concerned that if they continue to try and pursue this vehicle, that he will go even faster. So they're in a tracking mode right now. They obviously have, usually in this situation, they'll have an airship in the air. At this point, it only looks like we have one individual in this car, but potentially, if we learn that there's more, we'll let you know. There he is as he drives erratically.
Right now, with police in surveillance mode, we don't know if anyone's waiting up ahead or where this guy is headed or what even tipped off this pursuit, but he is in a rush and he is not slowing down for anything. This is creating quite a hazard for other drivers on the road. And as you can imagine, as Bobby said earlier, really busy time right now in downtown LA. You got that huge freeway interchange there with many people trying to get home tonight. This guy is creating quite a hazard.
There he goes, weaving through traffic, and once again
in the wrong lane.
In the wrong lane.
Headed the wrong way. This is he is headed southbound on Alameda right now, and you can see the train tracks right there to the left of this car. All
of the cars there stopped at the light, and he goes right through the intersection. Again, Hollenbeck Division tracking this. We believe right now he is going westbound on Alameda, and LAPD officers, you don't see any cruisers there, any police, whoa, and he just skins some of those cars. Going in this tracking mode as they continue to watch him because they are afraid that this vehicle, as you can see, already going at a very high rate of speed. We have seen him go on the wrong side of the road, and then also someone crossing a crosswalk there and running to get out of his way.
He is headed southbound on Alameda. He's approaching Vernon. He may have passed it. He's going so fast. You can see him weaving in and out of cars, and that's really the danger here because he has no regard for drivers he's sharing the road with. Driving on the wrong side of the road, headed in the wrong direction right now, still headed south, headed towards Slauson Avenue. Once again, this chase in downtown LA. Police are following this vehicle, but they are in surveillance mode as far as we know right now, meaning you can't see them hot on his trail here, if you will. They're a bit behind him, and it's probably a good thing for other drivers because this guy is flying down these side streets here in downtown LA, driving on the wrong side, not stopping at red lights. It's still on Alameda, headed south, making a left there into the wrong, going against traffic here.
And they moved out the way, too. Look at this, look at this. And just pushing his way through on the center median again. I'll get you a street, but again, working his way well into solid in the downtown area. We're going to be getting into the Huntington Park area, I can tell you that. Now we're working our way eastbound. He's kind of heading towards the 710. Major freeways, not in this area, not at all right now. The only thing he's got right now are going to be surface streets, major surface streets, and going through Santa Fe. And again, excuse me, just really just driving these crazy speeds, pushing his way through these areas, definitely in tracking mode. I'm listening to LAPD in one ear, and they're telling their officers, back off. They have backed off. And we were on Slauson, now we're on Pacific, southbound Pacific Avenue. This is going to be one of those major arteries through Huntington Park, the Huntington Park area. This is the area where it's kind of like the old downtown where there's a lot of pedestrians out here. Look at, you can see this driver. Look at this guy making a left turn. Whoa, right there, right there. He TC'd, that's called a traffic collision. He hit that car.
And still didn't, and it is
still going.
Well, you know, that was inevitable, though, Sue. The way that guy was driving, we just knew that something like that was going to happen, and hopefully they can
Whoa!
Get tagged there.
Yeah, this
Did he
guy's
hit another
definitely
car?
running out. No, he didn't. Got really close. He swerved the car, kind of his car a little bit went sideways. Looks like we're getting into a residential neighborhood right now. Speed slowing down quite a bit. People backing up. Again, his speed's slowed down. I'm trying to do a couple things right now. I'm looking out the window. I want to see if LAPD is even in the neighborhood right now. I don't want to get away from this car. The helicopter overhead calling it out. But again, a passing gauge right there. That was a major. And it's continuing southbound residential neighborhood. He's already been in one major, I would call that a major collision, as he hit that truck head on pretty much. Front end damage to the vehicle, but it seems like all 4 tires are still solid. And continuing southbound. Look at that skateboarder right there, again on the wrong side of the road. You know, this is very dangerous. Oh, there we go. Oh, there, and he's trying to continue.
Well,
this.
You know what?
You got to worry about that guy in that car.
We can't even possibly just determine the charges that are being racked up against this guy. I mean, first of all, the 6 months for fleeing police, but now he's got several reckless and maybe even assault with a weapon being his vehicle, seeing how he just purposely ran into those 2 cars.
Didn't run, no doubt. Stu, this is some of the craziest driving that we've seen.
There's a person he almost hit.
Yeah, some of the craziest driving we've seen. And was the original call, did you say it was simply a stolen vehicle?
Yes, originally that's what we were hearing was stolen vehicle. Wow. That's what this guy is wanted for. And again, you know, that second collision that we just saw right there, that was head on. That other vehicle sustaining a lot of damage right there. Amazing that this car's still even on the road driving. Again, you know, the LAPD definitely calling for an ambulance for that other driver. We're keeping an eye on this guy for sure. Look at this, though, twisting through these streets out here in the center lane, still moving 45 miles an hour plus 50 in traffic. LAPD helicopter still overhead calling this pursuit, working our way on a major again, southbound. That was Florence we were on. Getting a little bit more of a picture of the damage to that vehicle. It does seem like it got hit right on the side there, but it doesn't seem that bad. Amazing. But again, this guy's still going. And again, people on the roads out here, pedestrians, and it's just amazing that, you know, I mean, it isn't anymore. We have seen 2 crashes. Amazing nobody's been majorly injured. Again, using lanes that he's not supposed to, trying to pass. And again, just keeping up this bad driving, dangerous driving, excuse me. And again, LAPD not in pursuit. Not in pursuit. They're just following this guy.
Well, this is the point in time where you'd like to see a foot bail, you know, because no one else gets injured.
Well, it possibly could. I mean, he's on. Is he slowing down, Stu? I thought he was. Well, there's a vehicle in front of him.
Right there.
These are close residential
Right, it was because he had no place to go.
Streets. And
again,
he's driving fast through a residential area. This guy is a menace. He's a menace
Very
on the streets
fast through a residential area. Sorry about that. We had to do a little.
For anyone else on the road, and cops need to get a hold of him, but we all know how these things typically end.
Here he goes, another intersection here.
And yet he's still going.
So at last report, we know that he was in Southgate on 8th from Florence. And again, really difficult to track him right now because he's just weaving and going on just random streets.
Blowing all the red lights, driving at really high rate of speed, already hit 2 cars. You can see that speed limit was 35 there. He's going a lot faster than that in the headed the wrong way. 25 right there.
South on State coming up to Broadway, and now it's he's eastbound going south on California now, making another turn and east.
This guy just waved to the helicopter above, but you can't see any police close by. They are still in tracking mode, and that's because it's hard to tell what this guy's going to do. Yeah. They're not sure where to track him to. This is a residential area here, still in Southgate, I believe, as we pull out further.
Comes to
another intersection where he makes another right turn. You can see his car is pretty banged up from the traffic collision he had with another sedan that T-bowed him.
2 traffic collision now coming up on some railroad tracks here. We understand that he is now south on Otis from Liberty, again going through yet another intersection. He seems to know that although there are no police cars, police cruisers on his tail, he seems to know that he is being watched, that there's a helicopter in the air.
They got a few helicopters in the air following him.
At that helicopter. So again, typically officers might know where he might be going next, or they may put down some spike strips to try and slow or stop the vehicle. But he has been going on so many random streets, driving at a high rate of speed, just going down, making lefts, rights, you name it, just trying to figure out a way to escape.
Bobby, we see these chases all the time, but wouldn't you say this is some of the craziest driving we've seen by a suspect in pursuit?
Another solid red. You know, in this pursuit, we started up in the Rampart area. Look at this. Whoa, boom! There we go. Oh, there we go. And he's trying to continue. There is no way this car is going to keep going very much farther. That he just hit that Toyota 4Runner. Again, Alexander, he's on a street called Alexander Southgate, like you said. Part of the answer that you needed to hear is that we have gone through so many different other cities that LAPD is not part of, so they are not really in the area. This car really starting to smoke out there. Does appear that he threw something out the window. Not sure what it was right there. Again, though, that car definitely smoking right now. It seems like something's coming off the passenger side of it, but he's really starting to come to an end. LAPD actually saying right now we need to bring this to an end. Coming to another intersection right here. This car coming apart. He's running through another intersection right there, barely missing some other vehicles. But again, this has got to come to an end soon, as this car cannot keep this up. We're coming up on another major out here, Imperial Highway. He's on the brakes right now, going into oncoming traffic again. Look at this front end. Look at this car. Unbelievable. Again, you know, wrong side of the road with an island. He's got no place to go right now, and basically just moving as fast as he can right here, going just and again, just trying to stay ahead. I do see an officer behind him right now. I don't know if that's an LAPD or possibly a sheriff's department. Oh, look at another full intersection. Just got through that one. Again, LAPD or that sheriff's department. Oh, look at this. Right across the center median, took out a sign. Again, this car's still kind of going. I can't believe this. Again, eastbound Imperial. We're coming up on the 710 now, going over the 710. And again, just trying to keep away. Unclear what this guy's plan could possibly be this afternoon. I'm trying to get a look at the vehicles that are behind him. I don't know if those are LAPD or sheriffs, but definite law enforcement behind him. Could have picked those guys up in Southgate. Again, right now, center divider. I believe this is Imperial right now. I believe this is Imperial. We were eastbound Imperial. And again, look at this, wrong side of the road. Whoa. Okay, there we go. Took two cars out. He's out. He's trying to run. Oh, he's trying to carjack somebody, and it looks like he has a weapon. He does. He's got a weapon. He's trying to carjack somebody, pulling a woman out of the car, taking another vehicle. Again, stay out of the way. They're telling everybody, stay out of the way. Officers out there. These are LAPD. Again, southbound. We clearly saw this guy with a weapon. I have never seen something like this before. Unbelievable. He's got a new car. I believe this is going to be some sort of Volkswagen. Again, just carjacked that vehicle. Saw it live on television. Amazing. I'm so thankful nobody was injured in that, especially that driver. It seemed to be a woman. This guy definitely trying to get away from officers. I will get you across street, but this changes the game entirely. Oh, Pat, You are so correct about that. We're just assuming that there was nobody else in that vehicle. Again, you'd hope that a mother would not allow that to happen. You know the motherly instinct. But again, right now, all we know is that he did carjack this vehicle. Clearly saw a weapon in this guy's hand. They are talking about exactly what you had mentioned. They are talking about going back and talking to that victim to make sure that there is nobody else in that vehicle. LAPD definitely still there right behind this vehicle right now, changing the entire prospect of what we saw. This guy desperate, armed, and definitely trying to get away. Extremely dangerous situation. Yes? Yes, they are. They are being a little bit more aggressive. It looks like we're approaching or entering the 105 freeway, right by the 710. We see the vehicle getting onto the freeway right now. LAPD definitely behind this vehicle right now. And again, looks like we're going to be taking the northbound 710. I just read that sign. Again, the LAPD right now not really calling out the streets anymore. Their tactics are totally changing. They're getting their units in position. They're talking about notifying other agencies. This guy is armed and willing to use that weapon. Again, we're looking like we're going to be entering the northbound 710. A lot of traffic out here on this transition road. There is an emergency lane, which he's probably going to try to use. A lot of traffic out here this afternoon. Again, looks like we're entering northbound 710 freeway. We have at least 4 units from the LAPD right now, very, very close behind. They are definitely not going to allow that kind of danger to the public to happen again if this vehicle does come to a stop. So a very dangerous situation this afternoon. Most definitely. And it looks like he's kind of stuck here on this emergency lane. It may push him off onto the Imperial off-ramp. That's going to be the next one that's coming up right now. Again, though, just keeping up these freeway speeds, passing vehicles that are not driving freeway speeds at all. Again, though, this car carjacked. If anybody's just joining us, carjacked with a weapon after they totaled that car that he had hit at least 3 other people with this afternoon. Look at the officers backing out of the way, letting this guy go. But again, they're just doing that so that they can let this guy make his move, not try to block him in. But you can see all these LAPD units right now in the Southgate area, so you know these units were following when this was going on. Toyota Camry. Well, you know, I can tell you I definitely saw something that looks like a gun. I know in this litigious world that we live in, we can't say has a weapon or that was a gun. Definitely looked like a gun in his hand. And the driver of that vehicle obviously thought it was a gun also as she got out of that vehicle and allowed him to take it. The original vehicle he was in was described as a Toyota Camry. This one looks to be more like a Volkswagen, a larger Volkswagen, but again, unconfirmed at this time. That he seems to be staying northbound right now on the 710, well established. He does seem to be clipping other vehicles, pushing other vehicles out of the way. I'm not sure if this is some sort of plan that this guy has, but again, he seems to be cutting other vehicles off almost intentionally. Again, LAPD definitely following this guy right now as his pursuit's continuing northbound now on the 710 freeway as we're getting into the Cudahy area right now. Again, though, this guy carjacked the vehicle. You could, I don't know if other viewers picked up that same thing, but you could feel the desperation, or you saw it in his movements, in his attitude when he got out of that car. He tried to carjack one car, then he came up to this one and actually was able to do it. Again, that woman probably doing the right thing by giving up that vehicle, but again, we saw, or what looked like, a gun in this guy's hand very clearly. Officers from the LAPD saw that as well. Again, this is a pursuit, But with that type of weapon and that type of attitude that he's displayed, this is something entirely different right now. As LAPD is chasing this guy, they want to bring this to an end. They don't want any public hurt. Obviously, they don't want to hurt any of them, any other officers. But again, right now, moving kind of slower, but LAPD definitely in pursuit. They're going to follow this guy. They're going to bring this to an end one way or another. Okay. Right now you can see LAPD in number right there behind him. Now these are all the officers that have basically got picked up along the way that were following as he passed through their divisions and etc. Again though, they were, you know, in trail. They were basically trying to stay nearby if this came to some sort of ending so that they could set up a quick perimeter to basically block this guy in. Right now though, that is all changed. They are basically re-engaged in pursuit of this vehicle. You can see that one SUV type of that Ford Explorer. Those are the newer vehicles that the LAPD picked up. They're a little bit heavier. Unsure if this officer is pit maneuver qualified, but again, you're right. The speeds have kind of normalized, if you can even say that about this this situation that's been going on. We can see that vehicle definitely has some damage on it right now, probably from bumping into other vehicles. We saw him clipping other vehicles earlier on. Again, northbound on the 710, amazingly light traffic this afternoon as we're getting up into the Maywood area right now, and we'll be approaching the 5 freeway. There is some traffic coming up, I can tell you that. Unsure what he's going to do, but you can see LAPD definitely still behind him. This is definitely a very dangerous pursuit. Oh. Oh. It looks like he's taking this the 10. Well, we are 710. It looks like we're going to be transitioning on the westbound 10 right now. You can see him still weaving in and out of traffic out here. And again, too, you know, the victims that were involved in those crashes, especially that second one, I mean, the last one where he got out of the vehicle, you just got to wonder about them. We are hopeful that they are not badly injured. Obviously, they've got to have some sort of injuries with those type of impacts. This guy, apparently, though, very much, you know, maybe it's adrenaline, who knows, but he seems to be very determined to keep this going. Again, right now, we are westbound on the 10 freeway, and we are in the East LA area. LAPD very much in pursuit. The helicopter's still lighting him up. They have backed off a little bit, probably because they are unable to make those type of dangerous maneuvers to keep up with this guy as he's working his way along the freeway out here. He has an opportunity right now to use an off-ramp. He's using that gore point. Looks like we are going to be taking an off-ramp right here, or possibly getting onto another freeway. I'll get you an update here just in a second. But again, and it looks like we might be doing something here with the 60 freeway as we understand it. But again, he has an opportunity for east or west right here. Again, though, very high speeds, very dangerous maneuvers. You know, again, it is definitely a pursuit, definitely public in danger. But again, this guy with that possible weapon, we saw that carjacking, very aggressive attitude. It's going to be an entirely different ending when LAPD finally get this guy cornered with that, after seeing what we saw this afternoon. Again, you know, 3 people we saw involved in traffic collisions with this with the original vehicle, with the suspect. Again, you know, those we're hoping that they're okay. Right now, though, we can see that his driving, if anything, we can say is normalized. If you're watching this or just joining us, this is normalized driving. Again, center island, center, look at that, look, getting a little squirrely there as he's trying to get off on Atlantic. We've seen that that rear end kick out a couple times on this car. Again, you know, looks like he's forced right now to stay on the Atlantic off ramp unless he pushes his way through there. LAPD definitely talking to the Sheriff's Department. East LA is the area that we're going to be getting off on. And again, you can see LAPD definitely still in pursuit, getting a little bit wider. I don't know what's at the end of that off-ramp, but I can tell you a lot of traffic, so he's going to be doing some crazy maneuvers again. This vehicle carjacked. We watched this guy carjack this car from a woman, pulling her out of the vehicle and taking this vehicle by force with a weapon, or what we believe to be a weapon, squeezing his way through a bunch of cars right there and possibly bumping into them. And it looks like we're going to be going eastbound on Atlantic, established in the East LA area. Again, though, LAPD definitely in pursuit. Looks like we're just going to be getting back on the freeway, maybe too much traffic for him. But again, this pursuit's got to come to an end. LAPD definitely been following this guy. Crazy earlier on, like you said earlier. I personally have never seen a pursuit as crazy as this, with as many accidents and harm to the public, and then that carjacking just was appalling. And again, you can see this guy continuing on back on the 60 freeway. And again, it looks like he's going to have to get off the freeway again, just basically taking every opportunity he can, letting traffic create his route. LAPD definitely in pursuit. They want to bring this to an end. Again, he's wedged in there. Here he goes again. This is, again, same type of technique. Basically running, came up to him. It looks like an SUV, a Lexus SUV. He's got, officers are in pursuit right now. This guy getting, other people trying to get away from him. Again, Jason, you got to move around. You got to move. Okay, it looks like he is down. The suspect is down. Again,
This is just below the Pomona Freeway. Just tried to carjack somebody.
Okay.
He's on the ground right now. He may have been tased. We're going to go real tight on the suspect.
He may have been shot or tased.
Yeah, he's on the ground right now.
Very careful here.
Law enforcement officers are right on top of this guy. We're going to come around that tree right now. They got their guns on.
Unsure what exactly transpired there. Again, suspect is down. Officers from the LAPD making their move right now, trying to get this guy into custody. You can see this has finally come to an end. Right off the 60 freeway, we'll get you an off-ramp here and a supervisor to come out to the situation at the end here. We believe that we're in the city of Montebello. This is on Vio Campo, and it's the name of the street that we're on right there, and it's very close to Garfield. Again, they're calling for an ambulance right now. And again, they believe that there were shots fired at the end, or as we understand it, it's going to be shots fired call. And we do know the suspect is down. We don't see any officers injured at this time. But again, this is going to be a lengthy investigation for the officers of the LAPD. And again, we do know they did call for an ambulance for that suspect who is cuffed right now and on the ground. Officers around him offering or doing first aid or what they can for this guy right now. And again, to get a little bit wider, you can see some of these cars in the area that are unable to continue on because of that shutdown, and other officers. Again, when this vehicle got stuck, you know, he basically jumped out.
Bello on a surface street with an attempted carjacking.
All right, attempted carjacking. The suspect then shot by the police. Another reason, if you're just driving along, you just never know. Always keep your doors locked. Always keep your doors locked. I'm not sure if we can go back through that video again to see if he was able to get the door open on that car, or if the door,
they're asking to,
if the car had, if he'd been able to open that door slightly, and if someone had been able to pull it closed.
Go ahead, show it,
The best thing is don't give them a chance to even open the door. Keep the doors locked at all times when you're driving, because you just never know.
Roger.
But it appears now that the suspect is down. An ambulance has been requested, but I don't see one having arrived in the area. There's a tight shot. Let's get that. That is a weapon. We can see on our monitor here they just shown their flashlights on a weapon. It appeared to be an automatic pistol, semi-automatic pistol, that was laying on the ground in the vicinity of the suspect. They shown their flashlights on it. There it is again. I'm looking at it in our large monitor here. I can see it. I'm not sure if you can make it out at home. It's a little smaller on your screen. We've got a giant monitor here. So there it is. They're looking at it, and it's right there in the vicinity of where the suspect is down. But again, no ambulance on the scene yet that I can tell. Bill Thomas, can you tell whether there's an ambulance either there or on its way there?
I think an ambulance is on the way, but Via Campo is just jammed right now, so it's going to be a difficult situation for them to get in. By the way, they've also closed the Pomona Freeway in the area. The situation where it came to an end on Via Campo, as you can see, is right next to the Pomona Freeway. So temporarily, all lanes eastbound 60 in Montebello are blocked. Via Campo eastbound for commuter traffic, that's shut down as well. It's going to be very difficult for the fire department to get in here, but I'm sure they are en route. They do know they have a gunshot suspect on the ground right now who does need immediate attention. Law enforcement officers, in the meantime, they can do what they can. They can administer first aid to that suspect, but
the situation is at least over as far as the pursuit and the violence that has taken place involved in this pursuit. We did learn from the driver who was carjacked in Linwood. He told, or she told police, that the driver did in fact have a weapon. And so then when we saw this person get out of the car in Montebello and try to carjack another person, it was really frightening to watch, knowing that that person did in fact have a weapon. But police did not let it get to that point. They took this suspect down before he was able to carjack another innocent person.
And the desperation with which this individual conducted himself throughout this whole process has been pretty frightening. Just the way he drove, the fact that crashing didn't stop him. You know, normally they crash, they give up. This guy crashed, he looked for somebody to carjack, and managed to do it at least once, and tried to do it a second time when he got pinned, and that was when police stepped up and stopped him. But they had tried at one point to back off a little bit because he was driving so erratically, but clearly this was someone who was a very definite danger both to the motoring public and just anybody in any situation. And so what we have here is a suspect who was extremely dangerous, who has now been stopped and arrested, shot and wounded at least by pursuing officers of the LAPD. Didn't see any, I know it was on the freeway for much of the time, Bill Thomas, but I didn't see any CHP officers at least up close in this pursuit as it was winding down. Did you?
California Highway Patrol officers. I saw what appeared to be LAPD officers. Because it began in Boyle Heights, this might be an area that is patrolled by LAPD, and they may have stayed on it the entire time. It's possible that CHP officers were participating once it was.
Well, Pat and Paul, it was a crazy scene out here this afternoon. I have to apologize. I know we want to roll tape because we got to show the viewers what was going on in the city of Los Angeles and adjoining cities as this crazy pursuit worked its way from the LA area all the way through Huntington Park, Southgate, and then working its way even farther south. Now, we can see right now, this is where we picked up that pursuit on Alameda, and apparently 60-mile-an-hour speeds, driving against traffic and many times, making turns into traffic many times, bumping many, many vehicles. Now, this car, the silver one that he originally started with this afternoon, had got involved into at least 3 major accidents, colliding with vehicles at intersections most of the time. Again, he every time continued on until the last one where the car actually was hit, spun out, and then we saw that suspect jump out of the vehicle and fumble around in his shirt and his pants, and then what pulled out what appeared to be a weapon. He ran up to a couple of vehicles at a couple of times. I actually have some of the off-air right now. We can see right now him pushing his way through some of these streets out here. Again, this was a very dangerous pursuit, very dangerous for the public, and especially at the end when he pulled out that gun and carjacked a woman, pulling her out of the vehicle and taking her vehicle. After that one, the LAPD was in a different frame of mind. After they saw that, they went ahead. They basically was trying to get this thing to stop, as now that they knew they were dealing with a violent armed suspect. Again, though, they were making their moves out here this afternoon, trying to bring this to an end after they said that second carjacking, that carjacking. And again, right now we can tell you that. Live outside, it did come to an end off of the 60 freeway, the city of Montebello. It's actually on Vio Campo. It's a road that takes you over to Garfield off the 60. Now, what had happened was his vehicle got stuck. He got out of that vehicle and tried to carjack at least 2 other vehicles. LAPD was very close behind. He did have that weapon in his hand. We do know there were shots fired and that suspect went down. Officers from the LAPD surrounded him, handcuffed him, and administered first aid and called for an ambulance. What we're seeing right now is that ambulance is here on scene. Medics are working with him as we speak. They're going to load him up onto that gurney, get him to a hospital right now. That very violent suspect ended right here on Vio Campo, city of Montebello. And again, 60 freeway eastbound still shut down because of the police activity right now. You can see there's a large backup right there. And again, with that suspect, he's being treated by an ambulance, county fire. And we're going to transport him to a local. Yes, we are. We're going to go back to that suspect, and we're going to see him get loaded onto a gurney and then placed into an ambulance. The ambulance is here. These are medics. They're working with him right now. They're administering first aid. We do see a gurney there. Unclear that suspect's condition at this time. You have to remember he was shot, and there was a little bit of a delay getting an ambulance here because of the traffic and the situation that the suspect created. Again, though, we do see the medics working with this guy right now, administering first aid. We see the gurney there. So it's unclear that condition of that suspect, but I can tell you medics are working with him right now, and if they do transport him, they will take him to a local hospital. Again, it does seem like they're placing him on the gurney, so they will be transporting him very, very shortly. Well, Paul, right now, the 60 freeway is a disaster. It is solid headlights all the way eastbound from this location, all the way out to the East LA interchange, which is several miles right there. You gotta feel that once the 60 is completely shut down, they are stuck right there. CHP is basically blocking that Garfield off ramp right now, but it has the entire 60 shut down probably until that suspect is transported. There is still some traffic here on Vio Campo right before Garfield. That traffic probably will be moving out here as shortly after this suspect is transported. But again, you can see the medics out here from the county fire department working with the suspect, carrying him over to a gurney. Hopefully we'll see him get it loaded onto that ambulance here very shortly. I'm going to try to move Sky 9 a little bit to see if we can get a little bit closer to see that ambulance. Again, though, the traffic is going to be a nightmare on the 60 until this is done. Right. Move it. Stay right here. Stay right here. Go. There. Oh. What would you like us to do? You want to follow the ambulance or you want to stay here? Five by five, sir. 5 by 5. No, just business as usual. It's a suspect. We haven't moved. He's like a block away from where he was picked up. That is the suspect. Yes, that's the ambulance. But the helicopter, we haven't left our location. Do you want to follow him over to USC or do you want to stay here?